Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I want to go through my closed option trades I made in the month of May. Now, this definitely was a one-off month. The market was recovering, and many of these I bought back in February, so it lost value in March and April, and it came back in May. And before we begin, I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research before making investment decisions. These are my personal closed trades. Option trading is so risky, and you could definitely lose money if you don't know what you're doing. I want to go over some of the strategies I used. First strategy you'll see is selling the put. And basically, that means entering into a contract where you receive a premium from the buyer in exchange for the obligation to buy an underlying stock at a specific price for a certain date. So, for example, if XYZ company is trading at $120 a share and I want to own 100 shares, let's say I'm comfortable to own it if it gets to 115. And let's say I select a 2 week out expiration. They will pay me a premium of $300 for that contract. Again, I'm just kind of making up numbers for this example. So now a couple things could happen. Let's say the stock stays above 115 by expiration. Great. I just made $300. The contract is done and that's it. But now let's say the stock falls to 110 in 2 weeks. The $300 is still mine, but now I own 100 shares at 115. My cost basis would probably be adjusted to 112 since they gave me $300, and I would be in a paper loss right now. That's where selling the call comes into this. And basically, that means you are giving someone else the right, but not obligation, to buy an asset from you at a specific price within a certain time frame. So, for example, now that I own 100 shares, I can sell a call contract 2 weeks out again at 117 for $200, again, making up numbers. So, again, a couple things can happen. In 2 weeks, if the shares stay below 117, I again make $200 and the contract is done. If it goes above 117, then I am forced to sell my shares at that price, but I still made my $200 in premium, plus I made an additional $200 from the appreciation of the stock. This is called the wheel strategy. And the last thing I want to talk about is the poor man's covered call. So the idea here is to replace a long stock position with a long in the money call option. So instead of me buying 100 shares, I buy a long call option that goes out 2 years. So back to company XYZ trading at $120 a share. Instead of me buying 100 shares, I will buy a long call contract 2 years out at a strike price of 60. Yes, the contract would cost me more, but I'm paying for the high delta. The closer the delta is to 1, the more it will move 1 for 1 with the stock. So if the delta is zero point 0.9 and the stock moves up $1, the option contract would move up $90. So now that I have that, I can sell the call on that contract. And it basically acts the same way as if I was selling the call on just owning 100 shares, but with much less capital. And it is riskier because I am buying the contract. If by 2 years it falls hard, I will lose all the money as opposed to a stock where I can just hold it for an unlimited amount of time until it recovers. Also, I always make sure I have gains on my long call before I even think about selling the call because my delta needs to be close to 1. Because if it's not, I will lose money if the stock spikes and my short call creates more loss than my long call can even move. So it can definitely be dangerous. And now let me show you some real examples of my closed trades in May. Alright, so here are my gains and losses for the month of May. Looks like I took a total gains of 12,000, losses of 3,000, which net 9,000. So the losses are a little bit misleading because there were sold calls that I did on poor man's cover call. So I owned the long call and had to close out the short one for a net gain. So that's why it shows that loss there. And also I did take a loss in NVIDIA, which we will get into and I'll show you right now. You'll see how I made up for that. So Amazon, getting into the top here, Amazon, I sold the call around earnings. I did own it at that time, and so I sold the call for it. And I also sold the put because it was earnings and they were paying a lot on selling the put and also selling the call. So I didn't get assigned it, nor did it get taken away from me when I sold the call. I didn't make it up there, and it didn't make it down to 182. So both expired worthless. There's Meta, which again I sold the put for at 185, and again it just didn't make it there. So that's 300 that came in. So moving down to NVIDIA, this is where I had the poor man's covered call going. So I had a good amount of NVIDIA long calls, and then I sold calls on that, right? So I had a couple of NVIDIA long calls, which I took one gain here, you can see. But I also sold the calls on them. So you can see here I took one loss in selling the call because I did it at 124. It looks like it was getting well past that. So obviously I was going to be in a loss there. So I didn't want it to be taken so soon. So I figured, let me just increase it more to 128. You could see right here I did 124 and then here's 128. I basically just took the loss and tried to make up for it by selling it at 136, 138, and 128. And so it definitely made up for it and made me even more than that too. And then on top of that, I also wanted to close one of the long calls that I had. Again, there is decay on calls, so that's why I just don't feel comfortable holding long, deep calls like that. Again, some of the decay does go away because you are buying a deep, but I just wanted to get out of one of them. Palo Alto, I own the shares, but I wanted to sell the calls on them. You can see week per week, it just never made it to the strike price, right? So every single time it got close, it just never made it there. Now, this one did get close enough, and I just wanted to close out of it, so I didn't take all the money there. But yeah, this one definitely did. This one and this one I probably did too. So yeah, this one was a good week-to-week sold call that just never got taken away from me. Palantir looks like I was just selling the put whenever I saw it drop. Yeah, so I sold the put here and then again here, and it just never got signed to me. SOXL, this is a little bit dangerous, right? You see TCL down there and you see SOXL here. So the story with this one is SOXL dropped very hard in April, and I wanted to get in because I saw it drop really hard. Now, again, they are triple leverage, so it is dangerous. So I bought the long call on SOXL, and I also sold the call. Now, this one was kind of dumb of me to do because this was only a $400 gain. So this definitely was a mistake here. I had bought the long call, but then I immediately sold the call like when it was well up there, and I probably just made only four. I could have made a lot more here, but I ended up only making 400 between these two. But you can see here I made up good by selling the put week after week here, this one and this one. So that one was good. It never got assigned to me, and I believe these are definitely multiple contracts. Like I think this is 10, this is 5 and 5. So I just try to get out of triple leverage whenever I can, right? So I get in, and then once it gains, I try to get out. I don't like to hold triple leverage long because it is definitely dangerous, and I used to be so overexposed to triple leverage, but they had gotten beaten down so hard in April that I thought I had to pick it up here. So I did SOXL, and then I did TCL, and again TCL I bought sometime in April, and I just sold the call here. It didn't get taken away from me, so I just kind of closed it out because again I just didn't want to hold it. It made enough, and I just got out. That's basically it. That made up the $9,000 gain for May. So if this had brought you any value, definitely like and subscribe. I'd love to keep sending out this kind of content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.